Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into some fascinating clinical data that attempts to answer what is basically the biological holy grail. How do we aggressively target stubborn fat while preserving and even building skeletal muscle? Look, we've all been sold this idea that dropping weight inevitably means shrinking your muscles right along with it. But Dr. John Schriff has some groundbreaking insights that flip that entire concept completely on its head. So get ready to rethink everything you know about metabolic health, muscle retention, and fat loss. So let me ask you something right off the bat. Is your 16-8 fast actually destroying your muscle? According to the clinical data, that super popular 16-8 intermittent fasting trend, where you fast for 16 hours and eat for 8, well, it's simply not long enough to meaningfully impact the relationship between your glucose, your insulin, and your fat burn. You might be putting in all this effort, but biologically speaking, you could be missing the mark completely. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll be going over 1. The 16-8 fasting myth. 2. Insulin and the fat trap. 3. The danger of visceral fat. 4. Unlocking hormone-sensitive lipase. 5. Using fat to fuel muscle. And 6. The 36-hour protocol. Part 1. The 16-8 fasting myth. Why shorter windows fail. Here's the thing, fasting for less than 24 hours, like the 16-8 method, isn't actually fasting in a true metabolic sense. It's really just a restricted eating window. All it does is create a chronic calorie deficit. And what happens when you just chronically restrict calories day after day? Your body adapts, your metabolism slows down to match the intake, and eventually the whole thing just fails. Now, strategic fasting, which pushes beyond 24 hours, does something entirely different. It depletes your glycogen stores, allows your insulin levels to finally normalize, and actually re-engages the body's natural lipolysis, which is just a fancy word for the breakdown of fat. And here is where it gets really serious. Check out this staggering number. Clinical data shows that typical chronic calorie restriction methods, the ones that fail to trigger those deep restorative hormonal changes, result in a 40 to 50% loss of lean body mass, right alongside the weight you lose. That means you are literally eating away at the very skeletal muscle you're working so hard to retain. It's wild. Part 2. Insulin and the fat trap, the hormonal gatekeeper. Think of it like a continuous tug-of-war happening inside your body right this very second. Unfortunately, most of us live in a constantly high insulin state. Insulin is your storage hormone. If you have elevated insulin or insulin resistance, your body simply cannot burn fat. Period. Full stop. It is biologically impossible. But everything in the human body is a balance, right? The counteracting agent to insulin is glucagon, and glucagon is what drives fat mobilization. To actually burn fat and maintain your muscle, you absolutely have to manage this crucial hormonal relationship. Part 3. The danger of visceral fat, the enemy inside. Now, visceral fat, that's the fat stored deep inside your belly, wrapped right around your organs. It isn't just an inert storage facility like the subcutaneous fat just under your skin. No, it is a biologically active suborganism. It's practically got a mind of its own. It actively secretes inflammatory cytokines, it cohabitates with insulin resistance. Basically, the more visceral fat you have, the worse your insulin resistance gets, which in turn drives your body to store even more visceral fat. It's a vicious, hyperinflamed cycle that just completely derails your global metabolism. Part 4. Unlocking hormone-sensitive lipase, the key to fat burn. Okay, so when fat is stored in a cell, it has to be mobilized and delivered into the bloodstream to actually be used as energy. Hormone-sensitive lipase, or HSL, is the critical enzyme responsible for step 2 of this process. It unlocks the door. But here's the massive problem. Insulin acts like the ultimate metabolic buzzkill. It directly interferes with and inactivates HSL. So if your insulin is chronically pounding your system, this enzyme just shuts down completely. That means fat can literally never leave the cell no matter how little food you eat. But when you do it right, this builds into a perfect biological cascade. To get that fat out, step 1, you have to deplete your glycogen. Step 2, this allows your insulin to finally normalize. Step 3, glucagon rises up to balance the system. Step 4, that beautiful enzyme, HSL, is finally activated. And step 5, your stored fat converts to ATP energy. Extending your fast past 24 hours is the only reliable way to trigger this exact sequence and break the cycle of metabolic disease. Part 5. Using fat to fuel muscle. Healthy body recomposition. I absolutely love this quote from Dr. Schriff. Healthy body recomposition is about using fat to fuel muscle. By fasting strategically, you don't allow for that negative metabolic adaptation, where your body panics and eats its own muscle. Instead, the body turns inward to its visceral fat stores. It actively protects and feeds your skeletal muscle using the exact fat you want to eliminate anyway. It's an incredibly efficient, natural system once you remove that roadblock of elevated insulin. But listen, here is a massive misconception we need to clear up right now. You cannot just lay dormant on the couch while fasting. That is practically extending an invitation for muscle loss. Your fasting should actually be predicated on your time in the gym. You want to maintain your strength output. In fact, on your fasting days, you need to increase your intentional movement. You have to create a baseline energy demand that literally forces your body to say, okay, I need fuel, and release that stored visceral fat to support your muscles. Fasting and movement absolutely go hand in hand.
Part 6. The 36-hour protocol. The 6-week solution.
So what's the game plan? The protocol is incredibly straightforward and highly reproducible. You fast for exactly 36 hours, once per week for up to 6 weeks. That's it. It's an acute stress that forces a profound positive adaptation in your body. And what about the other 5.5 days of the week? You focus on whole foods. You prioritize protein as your primary macronutrient. Because you're taking that one day to truly fix your hormones, you don't have to obsess over counting calories for the rest of the week. Honestly, you couldn't out-eat the hormonal benefits even if you tried. And the clinical data backing this up is just incredible. When tracking patients over this 6-week protocol using in-body scans, the results are undeniable. We're talking a 60% drop in visceral fat mass. That dangerous inflammatory suborganism is just torched. Total body fat mass reduced by 50%. And here is the real magic for muscle retention. Skeletal muscle mass decreased by a mere 2%. The body effectively threw a shield around the muscle while burning through the fat. But wait, the reality is actually even better than that. Because the patients are maintaining their resistance training and finally normalizing their insulin, the ultimate result is that most clients actually gain 1 to 2 pounds of skeletal muscle over this exact same 6-week period. Think about that. They lose the fat, they lower the inflammation, and they build lean mass all at the same time. So it really all comes down to a simple choice, doesn't it? Would you rather suffer through 18 months of chronic, exhausting calorie restriction, weighing every ounce of your food and watching your hard-earned muscle disappear just to likely hit a wall and fail by month 4? Or would you embrace the acute stress of a strategic 36-hour fast just once a week and completely biologically reset your body in only 6 weeks? The science is incredibly clear, and the power to unlock true, healthy body recomposition is already inside your cells. Thanks for diving into the research with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.